Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about Grace causing severe flooding and landslides in Jamaica with 3 to 9 inches of rainfall. And this will continue moving across the Caribbean, increasing to a hurricane impacting the Yucatan and places like Cozumel and Cancun, and then going into the Gulf of Mexico. So if you do like weather related content, please subscribe to my channel as I will upload daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. And I do ask you to share this video with your friends and family on social media that are going to be impacted by Grace. So let's delve into the details. Here is the latest satellite picture for August the 17th. And man, you can definitely see here, Grace is really getting its act together out here in the Caribbean. It really dumped some very heavy rain over Haiti that got impacted by that earthquake just a couple days ago. So they had torrential rains, and it's still raining in Haiti, but it right now is just off the coast of the island of Jamaica. And you can definitely see we got a lot of cold cloud tops here, and that is literally going to be spreading over the entire island of Jamaica for later on this morning, and really continuing all day long with severe flooding and landslides is definitely a big concern. So let's take a look at the latest satellite picture, and you can definitely see it's pretty impressive out here in the open waters of the Caribbean. It's literally going to be impacting Jamaica in a big way. The actual eye of the storm actually keeps it just offshore, and that's actually kind of a bad thing because it keeps the intensity pretty much about the same, and it doesn't actually keep it die down a little bit. But look what it has to work with out in the open waters. This is almost like smooth sailing ahead. So once it gets past Jamaica, it will be impacting the Cayman Islands and then really start to intensify, and probably as a hurricane impacting Cozumel, Playa del Carmen, into Cancun by the time we get into that late Wednesday, Thursday timeframe, and then actually going into the Gulf of Mexico. So let's take a look at the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. As of 8 a.m., it's upgraded to a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm moving west at 16 miles an hour. It's right on the coast, so the watches have transferred to a warnings and tropical storm warnings for the entire island of Jamaica, all of the Cayman Islands, and now we have hurricane watches posted for the northern Yucatan Peninsula in places like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, and those areas. So definitely a big concern with this storm. So let's zoom in and look at the impacts. Like I mentioned, the government of Jamaica transferred it to a tropical storm watch to a tropical storm warning as tropical storm conditions look to impact the island over the next couple of hours and pretty much all day long for that island. And then we have hurricane watches posted for the northern parts of the Yucatan. So what you can expect is tropical storm force conditions are expected in portions of Jamaica today. Tropical storm conditions are possible in Haiti earlier this morning, but then tropical storm conditions are expected along the southern coast of Cuba within the warning area this afternoon and evening, and then spread over the Cayman Islands beginning tonight into early Wednesday morning. So what you can expect over Haiti, they're still expecting continuous on compounding rains of 5 to 10 inches of rain with isolated amounts up to 15 inches, folks, that are expected in some of the higher terrains over this far southern Cuba and Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, portions of the Yucatan Peninsula. 3 to 6 inches of rainfall with isolated maximum amounts of 9 inches with heavy rain, and will lead to flash and urban flooding. So yes, we're expecting anywhere from 3 to 9 inches coming up for Jamaica with this storm, as well as the Cayman Islands. And you can obviously see swells generated by Grace will continue to affect portions of Hispaniola over the next several days, and life-threatening swells to surf and rip current. So you do not want to be out in the open water. So let's really zoom into Grace and kind of zoom into Jamaica, because I know I got a lot of followers in Jamaica, and this storm is knocking on your door. in a big way. So here's the latest cone. So I kind of zoomed in here. So this is more likely where you would probably see the tropical storm force winds on the central and northern tip of the island. So places like Port Antonio, Port Maria, into Falmouth, into Ocho Rios, into Montego Bay later on this afternoon. So this is a radar snapshot of what it looked like about 8:15 this morning. You can definitely see it's right off the coast here, and it's going to keep the eye of the storm literally just north of land. So that's going to keep the intensity alive and dump that heavier rain bands as this is spreading. So you can definitely see by 6 o'clock this afternoon, it's not towards Montego Bay yet. So there's a lot of heavy impacts on the way for the island of Jamaica. So let's zoom in here and kind of break this down for you so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect on the island for this afternoon. So as we take you through to 11 o'clock this morning, you can definitely see a lot of these reds start to inundate the island on the east side, spreading into Morant Bay, getting closer into Kingston now, into Port Antonio with that very heavy rain, as the eye will continue moving a little bit further, closer to Jamaica. And then as we go into that 1 o'clock time frame, that's when it's gonna be over the island. So that's gonna be spreading the very heavy rain. Look at all the very heavy rain in and around the Kingston area by then, spreading those 1-2 inch per hour rainfall rates. So definitely severe flooding is a huge concern with landslides, as this will go through all throughout the day. And you can see as we go through, this will continue more or less from east to west as we go through the day. By the time we get the 2:30 time frame, yeah, we've got all that heavy rain spreading into Kingston, spreading into the south of the island, pretty much all the central and eastern part of the island. Now we're getting Montego Bay going to be starting to feel the impacts, as those tropical storm force winds will be impacting the northern areas of the island, but very heavy rain pretty much over the entire island coming up this afternoon. Even by 6 o'clock, you can definitely see by 6 o'clock, that eye will be right just east of Montego Bay, but spreading all that very heavy rain, and the entire island is going to be inundated with strong thunderstorms with a lot of lightning, some higher wind gusts. So wind gusts, even right now, are upwards to 60 miles an hour, was sustained at 45. And this is, I expect, to keep the intensity, because the eye is not supposed to actually cross over land, which is kind of making things worse, because it's going to keep the intensity alive and spreading that heavier rain and strong thunderstorms over the area for an extended period of time. And then even by 11 o'clock, so you're talking, over 12 hours, you're going to be impacted from this storm, at least with very heavy rainfall continuing over the entire island, even by the 11 o'clock time frame. It's really not until as we go into the Wednesday morning around 6 o'clock where you start to see a lot of the heavier rain start to push off the island. And now you start getting to kind of that sporadic, isolated showers and thunderstorms still. But now the heavier rain is starting to impact the Cayman Islands. So you're going to be the one under the gun of that 2 inch per hour rainfall rate. So this thing is moving at 16 miles an hour, 2 inches per hour. That's why we're talking some very heavy rain and almost double-digit rains in some of these areas, because the extreme heavy rainfall, over an extended period of time with this system as it continues pushing off into the west. And so as we get into the early morning hours on Thursday, that storm is expected to really ramp up in intensity, probably be a hurricane by then, impacting the Yucatan Peninsula in places like the Playa del Carmen area, the Cayman Island, the Cancun area, those areas in Cozumel, those are going to be impacted with, again, another area with very heavy rainfall with at least 3 to 6 inches is not out of the question, and isolated amounts even higher than that. You can see it maxes out about 3.6 inches per hour rainfall rate potential. So there's a lot of precipitation in the atmosphere as this energy taps into that. it's going to be dumping some very heavy rain and wind over the same time. And then look at the winds as this is kind of give it a wind swath estimate on where some of the higher winds will be. Again, some of the higher winds will remain just north of Jamaica, but you're still going to be feeling these tropical storm force conditions, at least on the northern island of it. But the main concern with Grace here is going to be the severe flooding and the landslides is going to be impacting Jamaica for this afternoon. So definitely, it's one of those days you just need to stay home and just be as safe as possible and not be in around this area if at all possible. Because a lot of heavy rain is knocking on your door, and that's just going to be spreading those heavier winds and intensifying as that gets off the island, and it's going to have smooth sailing ahead to really start to pick up in intensity. And as you can see, as it continues moving off into the west, the winds pick up as well. So now we're probably clocking at hurricane force winds, and the latest GFS actually has it up to almost a 95-mile-per-hour hurricane impacting the northern tip of the Yucatan by the time we get into that, Thursday, overnight Thursday time frame. So that's definitely a huge concern, going forward, especially the intensity models as well. More than half of them now have it going up to a hurricane, and even some of them have it going up to a Category 2 hurricane. So there's not much to lessen the strength after it gets past Jamaica. Like I mentioned, it's not going to be lessening because it's not going to go over land, and the Caymans is not going to affect the intensity of the storm. And there's a lot of smooth sailing ahead with a ridge up top in the southeast Canada that's going to continue causing that divergence underneath. And with a lot of those warm open waters, not just at the surface but deep ocean water content, yeah, it's easily going to be a hurricane by the time we get into Thursday morning, crossing into the Yucatan. It'll downgrade a little bit and then re-intensify back into the Gulf as we go into Friday timeframe. Because here's the latest model prediction. It pretty much has a bullseye. This is where it's at currently. Right there, skirting the northern tip of Jamaica, going literally basically right over portions of the Cayman Islands, going right over places into the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, and then going back into the Gulf of Mexico, where these waters are extremely warm. And there's a lot of models, guys, that have this ramping up into a really strong hurricane, potentially a major hurricane, possibly, as it would impact Mexico. So for right now, it definitely looks like the United States is going to be in the clear from this particular storm, but it's got a lot of impacts for the Caribbean over the coming days, as Grace looks to be packing a punch for many areas. And here's your rainfall estimates of what you can basically kind of expect. I mean, yeah, all these areas into Haiti and Jamaica and the Caymans, going to the Yucatan, easily a 3, 6, 9 double-digit swath. I mean, this model has it up to 17 inches in isolated locations. So extremely heavy rainfall with this system, as this will continue impacting a pretty good landmass over these areas of the Caribbean, crossing into the Gulf of Mexico, and then re-intensifying Friday into Saturday, and probably making landfall somewhere right along into Mexico as a strong hurricane, if not a major hurricane by then, dumping some very high winds and heavy rainfall for Mexico as well. So definitely be weather aware with this system, and definitely, especially in Jamaica too, with this storm. Do share this video with your friends and family on social media. I do my best to keep you updated in the comment section throughout the day from this storm, as this will continue getting closer to Jamaica. So I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.